A Saudi judge is raising controversy over comments he made during a seminar on domestic violence. He said that husbands are allowed to slap their wives if they spend too much money. Well, let's bring in CNN producer Mohammed Jamjoom with details on this incident. Mohammed, thanks so much for joining us. Tell us a little bit of a background to this case.
Well, Anna, had the judge not reportedly made these remarks, the news would have been that there was a seminar about domestic violence in Saudi Arabia. I mean, that's rare enough in the deeply conservative kingdom. For a long time, this has been a very taboo subject matter. There was recently, reportedly, this seminar, which was trying to educate people about domestic violence. And there was a judge who gave remarks to an audience, a mixed audience, women that were there. And the judge, in his examples about how domestic violence cases were rising in Saudi Arabia, stated that it's okay to slap a woman if she spends too much. And the interesting thing is that the example that he cited, what really astounded a lot of people there, the example he cited was that of a woman spending too much on a abaya, which is the cloak that a woman over there is required to wear, the black veil. And the judge is saying that if a woman spent too much on that, then it would be okay for a husband to slap her.
Why would he make reference to an abaya, considering it is virtually compulsory for them to wear it?
Yeah, it's really ironic that he would do so, and a lot of women's rights groups, were talking to me today, and they were saying that this is a terrible example because, in fact, it's required for women to wear that in Saudi Arabia, and this is mandatory by how they practice Sharia law in Saudi Arabia, Islamic law, and so for a judge to cite that as an example that a woman would overspend on something that she is required to wear, and that a lot of women's groups over there bristle against, that really doesn't make any sense. And a lot of women in the audience, they gasped in amazement when this judge made this remark.
Yeah, you talk about women and women's groups and their response, understandably, to these remarks. What's been the general reaction?
Well, it was just published yesterday for the first time in the Arab News, which is the leading English-language Saudi daily. It's a very progressive paper. But it's interesting that in Saudi Arabia these things are being discussed nowadays. I mean, up until about a year or two ago, these things would not be written about. And what I'm seeing so far, sources are telling me they're shocked, because there have been a lot of controversial verdicts recently. There have been a lot of Saudi judges who have been in the news for judgments and verdicts that have shocked even Saudis, even very conservative Saudis, and given Saudi Arabia a real black eye in the public relations realm worldwide.
And is it likely that this judge will be reprimanded for his comments, or will it just go on and be forgotten about?
We don't know. These things tend to live on these days in Saudi Arabia. There are a lot of bloggers, that are really going after the conservative establishment. In February, there was a massive cabinet reshuffle. King Abdullah, who's seen as a cautious reformer, he reshuffled his cabinet. It was the biggest political thing to happen in Saudi Arabia in 20 years. And he brought in a lot of new moderate members of his cabinet, including a new minister of justice, rather. And people, saw that as a real sense that there's going to be reform in Saudi Arabia and there was going to be an overhaul of the judiciary, a streamlining, so that controversial verdicts like this wouldn't happen anymore. Whether or not that will be the case here, we don't know, but the Minister of Justice has come out recently with a lot of the other controversial verdicts and said that things will be done so that this doesn't keep happening.
All right, Mohammed Jamjoom there from our base in CNN Atlanta. Many thanks for that.
Thanks.